Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit south node, square opposition, or in conjunct one's natal moon. Now, when we're talking about transits of the south node, it can be about what we're going away from, the past, what we're naturally proficient in. It could be about overdeveloped and redundant qualities. And the thing about this transit is when you have transit south node basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal moon. I'm going to elaborate on that. When I say basically adverse aspect, okay, squares and oppositions, those aspects, of course, are adverse and negative in astrology. Now, the inconjunct is a neutral aspect, but neutral aspects can have good and bad qualities, and coupled with the fact that an inconjunct can often require an adjustment or a transition. And that, of course, can cause some exasperation and tension. So collectively, I see this basically as an adverse transit. Now, again, when transit south node is making a square opposition or inconjunct to one's natal moon, well, it may manifest in what you're going away from, the past, what you're naturally proficient in, overdeveloped and redundant qualities. And these things at this time might conflict with your emotional needs. It could be a time where, if you were trying to get away from your emotional needs, which is not such a, I don't know if that's such a good thing, it would be hard to do so. And say if there's a, the mother or family, say if your natal moon is in Leo, and you have family or mother that you see maybe is a little bit arrogant or bombastic or domineering. This could be, a difficult time, if you're trying to get away from them and have some freedom to do what you want to do. There could be some difficulty in doing this at this point in time. Now, this is a thing too, and it might be too, doing things that you're naturally, proficient in at this time, or what you feel you have a very strong, you might discover you have a strong ability for actually. It might conflict with family activities. It might be prominent women in your life scheme. These are things right now where you have conflict. Of course, when you're talking about especially the square and opposition aspect can be tension filled. The opposition can be where you feel like there's like a tug of war between one and the other. It can be at this time too as well when you have this transit. The overdeveloped and redundant qualities of the south node. For example, let's say the transit south node is in Aquarius. Maybe there's something where you're showing, some idiosyncratic or very non-conforming, rebellious behavior that can be in conflict with people that are in your family life, you're close to home with, prominent women in your life at this time. These are things where where there could be a strong conflict. These people may not be in harmony or in agreement with that energy that's coming out. And a lot of times people aren't going to be in really feel at home with that energy anyway, but it could be more intensified during this transit, more so than many other transits. Now, another thing too, when you look at the moon, now anatomically, speaking, it can be, the moon is connected with the breast, the chest, the stomach, ribs, and also water retention. Now, these could be things that you may have trouble leaving behind. If you've had any issues, with these, and at the time of this transit, they might be intensified, or they just simply might be harder as far as problems to alleviate at this point in time, more so than usual. South node is connected with the past, and trying to leave these things, in the past, may be difficult. And the fact, you look at this transit as well. The fact that the south node, I would say, could be connected with people that were prominent in your past. And the thing that you want to feel like doing, the moon is about, feelings, but or moods, what will you feel like doing? You may not feel like contending with people from the past at this time. If the transit south node is in the third house, it could be somebody that was from your early education, Maybe it's somebody that helped you with, communication, assimilating information, perhaps. Um, it can be also the time of this transit. I mean, the moon is about our unconscious, it's our past, our memories, and it may be, difficult getting away if there's any bad memories at this time. Let's say if the natal moon is in Aries, it might be, say it's in the Aries in the fourth house. Maybe there's some memories that are connected, contentious or acrimonious situation with a home or family member or someone you were simply close to home with that might be difficult to leave behind or put in the past at the time of this transit. Um, since the moon is connected with the unconscious, there might be some things, maybe there's someone from your past that is not in agreement with the unconscious tendencies you're showing. Say if the natal moon is in Gemini, maybe there's some superficial qualities or there's some vicariousness with that person, the moon in Gemini. It could be something where that South Node person is simply not really, in agreement with. It can be where, let's say if going back to the moon being in Gemini as an example, and say the transit South Node is in Pisces and it's squaring the natal moon in Gemini. It could be somebody that's a little bit more about relaxation and isolation. And the moon in Gemini, of course, could be very mobile and restless. So you could see where there could be a conflict there, as using that as an example. And the moon could also be connected with the public. And if you've been under, if you're especially like you're a public figure, you've been under some scrutiny, this could be a time where it might be harder to get away from that at this point in time, because the South Node is what we're trying to leave behind. It's connected with the past, going away from. And the thing is, when you have, when you're talking about the moon can have a connection with the public. So that's another way that transit may manifest. Now, another way, as far as this transit goes, how it may be expressed, it could be that someone from the past, which is connected with the South Node, may adversely affect how you feel and what your mood is at this time. Now, say for example, if the transit South Node is in Aries in the 12th house, it could be someone, maybe you had some battles with. It could have been physical, it could have been verbal confrontations. It may adversely affect how you feel, which is the moon, your mood at this time. Now, let's say, and it might be tied into secret sorrows, which is the 12th house. Now, another way this transit may manifest, it could be where it's harder to get away, which is the South Node, from your home and family. If there's something going on, with your home, your family, where maybe you're at odds, for example, or they're doing something that's affecting you to your detriment. Maybe they're monopolizing your time simply. It could be it might be harder to leave that situation. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal moon is going back to Leo, if the natal moon is in Leo in the 10th house, again, it could be a domineering, bombastic, arrogant, even overbearing, which is Leo, dominant parent, which is the 10th house, which is often the father. It could be something, too, where at the time of this transit, something that may affect you to your detriment, which is the South Node, may challenge your emotional needs. Now, let's say, for example, if the transit South Node is in Gemini in the 3rd house, it could be dealing with, maybe a mischievous or two-faced, could be Gemini, a neighbor, even a cousin or sibling, because that's connected with the 3rd house. Now, also, too, when you have this transit, remember the South Node could be the comfort zone where we feel complacent in, and it's about what you can feel comfortable doing. Now, what you feel comfortable doing at this time, which is the South Node, may conflict with, it could be prominent women in your life, and that's the moon. It could also be home and family members, people you're close to home with. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now again, what you feel comfortable doing, which is the South Node, may conflict with the prominent women in your life or people you're close to home with, um, home family members. If you're, let's say, if the transit South Node is in Virgo in the 11th house, as an example, what you might feel comfortable doing, it could be maybe analyzing, which is and diagnosing, which is Virgo. It could be computers, or maybe there's something, you're involved, very analytical, detail oriented. Um, Astrology at this time, the 11th house could be connected with astrology, but remember that again, that the South Node could be connected with overdeveloped and redundant qualities. So it could be like, if you're involved in astrology and you're trying to analyze something, it could be, really a little overkill. Like, for example, trying to see a dwad within a dwad. For those of you that understand dwads and astrology as an example. So a lot of it, again, the South Node can be connected with very overdeveloped and redundant energy. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.